Tradition. So we're on the air. All right, if we'll rise to the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, clerk will call the roll, please.
Gilman?
Yep.
Lehman?
Here.
Underwood?
Here.
Brown?
Here.
Mauser?
Here. We have an agenda. I guess we need an approval of the agenda, but I guess working up to that, this special meeting was intended to be fairly simple, and I would go through and approve 3 bid openings, and now we also have the Long Lake Fire Station issue as well. However, in the last 3 or 4 days, there seems to be and I'll call them a plethora of emails and some concerns and questions have come up from citizenry and from board members and so forth on a number of issues. So I guess I'd like to carve out toward the end of this, we'll call it item E, I guess, where we can go through this list. And also Brad has, I guess, I don't know if it's a PowerPoint, but a presentation of some sort, which is in response to one of the outstanding issues that's been brought forward here as well. So that would be my intent to put this item E in toward the end, and we can look at them, and depending on as we dissect them one by one, whether further conversation. Some of them are pretty simple or informational. It looks like there's 1 or 2 here which may require maybe a policy change or review of current policies and oversights. So which may require a special meeting. So it would be my recommendation here that we add an item E, which would be, I guess,
List of other concerns
that have become a little more stringently expressed here. That in somewhat of a put it in some sort of. I've been on the road commission about 8 years now, and all told, I've received I think 6 or 7 phone calls on road commission matters, and 5 of those have been in the last 3 days. So. You know, circumstances can be circumstances, but anyway, just as a better perspective, I guess. So I would say, as suggested by Commissioner Gilman, item E be added. At the end, after we do the
move to approve the agenda with the addition of item E.
Second. Any other discussion, or I'm sure there'll be questions, but I think we need to go through them as we go through the items, bullet points, I guess. How about a roll call?
Lehman?
Here.
Underwood?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Gilman?
Yep.
Mauser?
Yes. Hey, any conflicts of interest?
I have a potential concern maybe. I have as most of you guys know, I sold my business to Molon, and they have something here before the board. I have a long-term fixed price contract with them, no matter what their outcome of how good or how bad they do. And I have nothing I can vote on now can have any effect on me financially. I can't benefit from it, good or bad that happens. So I don't feel it's a conflict, and if board members don't like it, I'll be glad to abstain.
Comments, questions? I don't see it as an issue.
These are sealed bid contracts.
They're sealed bids. The numbers
They're
are
all
there.
open in front of the public, so at that point,
Public openings, they are listed by price and category. It would be, and I don't believe on any of these bids there's any contentious issues that we need to look at or make themselves obvious. So thank you. Our first public comment, there will be 2. This is the first. If the clerk would read the rules of public comment.
Any person may make an advanced appointment with the board regarding road commission topics for a regular or special meeting in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. If an appointment is made, the topic will be an agenda item. The following applies to public comments. 1, please state his or her name and address. 2, topic must be relevant to the road commission. 3, individuals are allowed to speak once for up to 3 minutes on a single topic, which may be extended by the chair. 4, a group addressing the board requires a designated spokesperson who may speak up to 10 minutes. 5, the board will not act on any item from the public that is not on the agenda.
Okay. Is there anyone who wishes to make a public comment at this time? Okay, we'll move to item 5, special meeting topics. A, the Springbrook SAD, which I guess we get a briefing on the bids.
It's gonna be up there for a while.
So 3 of them.
Good morning. We received in for the Springbrook Special Assessment District project in Acme Township. We have 3 bids that were submitted. Molon was the confirmed low bidder at $507,000. It's 7.87% over our engineer's estimate. Important to note that we had, through the SAD process, we provide a shotgun estimate early on to the township. Then we proceed after they begin their initial meeting and process on that. They then authorize us to proceed. We then go through extensive design and development of the plans and then provide a final estimate at the end for them to use. They combine up all their legal fees and apportion out what it would be for their for the residents within that SAD. The cart got a little bit before the horse, and so they had used earlier numbers from us, and so the estimate amounts for what the township is working with is in excess of 10%. And so at this point in time, while we acknowledge the 3 low bidders and
Go back before that.
everything looks good on our end, we would ask that the bid be awarded to Molon contingent upon the township's approval of the project. They will have to kind of look at their end, decide whether they need to go back and have an additional meeting or to proceed ahead with the price as we here noted.
I would move that we,
Okay, questions for Wayne? I guess there weren't any, and you were
move that we
just ahead of the curve.
We approve the bid for Mullen Excavating for $507,731.80.
More or less.
More or less, pending the approval, the final approval by the township, Acme Township.
Yes, support.
I'll support that.
Okay, motion to support. Any questions or discussion by the board? Clerk would call the roll, please.
Underwood,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Gilman.
Yep.
Lehman,
Yes.
Mauser.
Yes. Okay. Will bring us then to Timber Hill SAD.
Again, we had bids out. We received a low bid that we have confirmed from Molon Excavating for $137,866.75. That is 30.94% over our estimates. We have reviewed through the items, do not find any inconsistencies nor skewing of the bids. Probably just important to note that it is a small project. And so any variations in asphalt prices, things of that nature will look rather large in a skewing factor. But mobilization to come on in for a small project is to be expected. But upon this, same thing, we would note that the township, it is over their 10% amount. We would still recommend that this award or this bid be awarded contingent upon East Bay Township's approval of the project.
Questions? Wayne?
Motion that we accept the bid for the Timber Hill SAD with Mullen Excavating at $137,866.75, more or less, contingent upon the approval of East Bay Township.
I'll second it.
Okay, a motion to support. Any further discussion or questions from any board member? Clerk would call the roll, please.
Brown,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Lehman,
Yes.
Underwood,
Yes.
Hauser.
Yes. Okay, Wayne, Town Line Road, Walton to Sparling.
Yes, thank you. Bids were again received on the morning of the July 27th. 3 bids were received, a low bid from Elmer's Crane and Dozer in the amount of $712,185.97. And this is 0.47% under our estimate of $715,590.65. This is an approximately 2-mile parking shaped project. This estimate was our final estimate and is in line with other projects that we have been in unit pricing. And the low bid has been reviewed and confirmed. And we would request the bid be awarded to Elmer's Crane and Dozer.
Questions, comments?
I'll make a motion. We follow the engineer's recommendation and award the contract to Elmer's Crane and Dozer.
Support. Okay, we have a motion to support. Any other discussion by the board or questions for Wayne? Clarification? Hearing none, I guess we need a roll call.
Hillman,
Yes.
Lehman,
Yes.
Underwood,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Mauser.
Yes. I guess just as a kind of an oversight, general conversational thing, it seems like there's a pattern here that the small jobs that have a great deal of involvement with third parties that take a great deal more time, like months and years, the price fluctuations seem to be greater and more frequency. I believe most of the unit costs are based on MDOT data from pricing that they get on bids throughout the state. But there are time lapses and with the certain, so I guess maybe we should look at our basic methodology, I guess, of working with SADs as far as maybe some contingencies put in there, or I don't know if there's an answer, but maybe we ought to at least ask the question if we can come up with something so that we don't have these disappointing results, I guess, to where then townships have to scramble and come up with some extra money, or homeowners are somewhat shocked by an increase in shared costs.
The problem with that is suggesting extra increases when people know the budgets. It's difficult to get them in
It is.
below
I mean,
reasonable cost.
it's a two-edged sword here, that if we just assume this is going to be more expensive, then your assumptions are self-fulfilling. But again, there is the difficulties that with SADs especially, sometimes it's a hard sell to get homeowners to agree. And once a number is suggested, that seems to be cemented in their psyche. And then suddenly when it's even a few dollars more, it becomes an issue, but when it's a lot of dollars more, it becomes a bigger issue. So a good thing can become a less than good thing in a hurry. So I don't know, like I said, I don't know if there's a hard and fast answer, but
Well, it looked like the original ones, like Wayne commented on, it's a shotgun price to start with.
it is.
And that probably the source of the problem, because you don't have
Starts
construction
all wrong.
drawings to really know the total units. So, and once that number's out there, and of course, once all the data comes in, that number definitely changes. Well, they forget that was just a,
Yeah,
you
and
know, an educated engineer's estimate, but not off from construction drawings. So until you get into the nuts and bolts of it, you're making an educated guess, is really what it amounts to.
And a lot of the difference is the difference between somebody who's in the business and has gone through it hundreds of times as opposed to layman. No pun intended. The non-professional out there, the homeowner, who doesn't understand the terminology and the difference and the real complicated nature of it, that, it's not hard to fix.
Question. When you come up with the engineer's estimate, I mean, are you using a particular program of methodology, or is it something, and is it something that when the bidders, are they seeing that, then, I mean, is it something that they work around with their own methodology?
Yes and yes. So when we're coming up with our estimates, our initial first shotgun estimate, if you will, is we're going to go on out, we're going to get the width and the length, and we're going to come up with some rough quantities. From that, we're using MURL, which is an acronym for the Michigan Engineers Resource Library, which is provided to us through LTAP and through the state. Those are taken contract unit prices from around the state, and then also regionally and by quarters. And so we're able to kind of look at that. It does vary between quarter to quarter. These are updated on a routine basis. We do have the ability as well as to override that. So we can look at something, we can say, well, hey, we know that there's an increase in asphalt, for instance, or that locally we're going to pay more for 23A gravel. So we have that ability to ratchet up or to adjust those. But on the initial estimates, we're going to kind of use that information and put that together. And the contractors are as well. They're using pricing from what they know that they're able to get, as well as then kind of hedging toward they're seeing increases in materials, they're seeing increases in items coming in. So those are put together. There is also to keep in mind is at the time that we're generating these estimates, we don't know exactly what time of the year that these are going to finally get on out. We can't necessarily project what the contractors' schedules are, how full they are on there. So contractors may sometimes just give us an obligatory price. They're going to bid. Should they become low bidder, it's set up enough that they know what our timelines are. They know what other project timelines and liquidated damages are, that if they were to get ours, then they'd be covered for potentially coming in late on other projects if they had to shift more resources over to our project to meet our timelines.
It's a tricky business. Like I say, I don't know if there's a perfect answer, but it certainly bears scrutiny. And
The neighborhoods certainly people should understand are harder to work in. The mainline bid here, a couple miles of mainline crush and shape are very clear. You're right on the number, straightforward. It's getting up near $1 million. It's more desirable work. It's not navigating through small streets. It's more likely to be desirable to big contractors and get a little bit better bids.
Perspective.
No, and unfortunately, the big jobs, we're the only ones that understand that. Small jobs have got maybe 50 or 75 homeowners
that have to understand.
We don't understand. So I think, I mean, everything's worth looking at and to polish the methodology and try to make it work better and not just accept how it's happening, especially since there was and like I say, the big job and the little job. I mean, on the one job, their mobilization alone is $22,000 on a $130,000 job. I mean, mobilization is a big piece of a small pie. So yeah, all those factor in, but like I say,
Anytime a bid comes in and it's within 10% of the engineer's estimate, they're on base.
You're
10%,
successful. Yeah.
10% is plus or minus is you're right, you're there.
You deserve that and that.
Yeah,
You won't get one,
well, you won't, but you're there. 10%, you're there.
Just, I mean, there's no sense of, I guess we just need to keep looking at how to do things better if possible. And if we can't, just admit it, say, hey, this is as good as it gets. Okay, I guess the next, we got to resolve those. I guess next item, Long Lake Fire Barn.
Yeah, so in working with Long Lake Township and their consultants, their firm, we got in some designs, went back and forth a couple times, got some corrections and clarifications using their information, their quantities. We were able to then take as much as we could, what our current contract unit prices are with Team Elmer's on our annual projects and plug those in. The other items then we were able to kind of use some best judgment, and we put those in, and looking like for the additional work on the mainline roadway is in and around the $130,000 mark. So 130, 228.83.
So what about traffic control mobilization? Is that outside of the scope of the, I mean, that's part of the deal.
Yes, we didn't include that into there. That would have been their requirements already. So we felt that that was not necessarily an item that we should add in or take into account.
Okay, so we're not looking at, we're looking at basically the portion of it that we would take on some of the obligation for, that even if it would have been done the original way, there would have been traffic control mobilization as well.
Correct.
And this is basically the cost up here, or what it's going to cost by having to do it the way it should have been.
Yes,
The
everything.
way it was
from-
going to have to be done in the first place, even though there was a communication gap and somebody dropped the ball other than us. Okay. And we had discussed this before. We know the township's having some overages and some other things as well. And I think we had inferred at least very strongly that we would certainly look at assisting in this. And my initial, without even seeing any numbers, was at least a cost share of 50%. I don't know if anybody else feels. I guess we need to come up first. I guess first question is, do we feel to assist in this, and then secondly, to what degree?
I feel because of the safety concerns on North Long Lake Road, that we don't want to see this happen without addressing them. I cannot see us approving another method other than what you now have designed and required of the township. I do think they would have been required to, maybe we don't have a requirement of the curb openings and all that stuff either. Some of that stuff that they would have had to, that's in the estimate, there's $5,000 or $8,000 that you probably would have suggested to them. Anyway, I know there was a big fight in Leelanau County about concrete openings or non-concrete openings, but I don't know if you were required those, but they're sort of common. So that's a little bit of cost maybe that shouldn't be on our share, but I certainly support helping the township move along on this.
If we were doing a regular project with the township, let's say we were upgrading the road, what's our typical cost share? Is it
Right now, it's
25?
25%.
See, so,
Unless we have,
so
if
what,
we have bike lanes, then it goes up.
right, right. So, so that's, if we're gonna sway outside of our regular cost share here, what's gonna happen on the next one?
Well, I think it has more to do with what Alan alluded to, was we're kind of putting the township a little in a little different position than what they considered as far as part of the project.
Well, they moved forward without the
Understood.
consultation, so
Understood.
now they're begging forgiveness here, and I don't mind participating, but if we're gonna set a precedence, what's that gonna do down the road for our other cost shares? This is the option that has to happen.
Right.
I'm in total agreement with
I
that.
think Joe hasn't said, but I think we're all in agreement that just because of this, the way Long Lake Road is already, it's a mess already. Right. And to not do this would make it worse, and that's certainly not an option. So it's just a matter of dollars and cents.
That's where I'm at. It's the dollars and cents side of it. and it's the dollars and cents down the road on other projects. Is where I'm at. This is the one that's gotta happen.
If we were just repaving a section of that road because it's a major artery, a trunk line, does that change the share? Would we, yeah, I know they did a crush and shape on North Long Lake Road a few years ago. And didn't we take care of that all at the
Yes.
time? That was because it's a
Because it's a, because it's a county primary.
primary road. In that case, we would have done it all.
Right, but we wouldn't have added this because of a construction thing that would be on their dime. And it'd be the same thing if it was a private entity going in there and we would require the private entity, they wouldn't get any cost share. They would be,
Right.
they would, like a deceleration lane, that's on their dime. So either way, it's a precedent issue here that, you know, I'm not opposed to sharing, but let's just watch what we're doing because somebody's gonna come back the next time around and we've set the precedence.
Does any of this change the drainage on the road? I mean, does this enhance our current construct at all from the way it is?
No, the particular site was in a sag vertical curve area, and so there was a significant amount of fill that they had to utilize and incorporate into their site design to come up to the roadway. We did note to them that where their approach is, they begin to kind of get, they have a low point there. So we recommended that because they're that far out, that they could probably skew their M opening in order to maintain a vertical fall along that curb line so that they don't wind up with a duck pond right in the middle. of the
Right.
driveway.
Not that ducks are bad.
We just don't like them.
Don't like them there.
Any other questions? Come on, Joe. Throw something in here.
I'm trying to think, is there a way to stay within the traditional cost share, but make the project happen? Because I'm sure the township does not have that money right now to build this project. Can we get the project done and finance it and have them pay us back?
I could make a payment plan. We've done that in the past.
Maybe we're willing to do that, so we can get it done. I mean, because they are building the building, let's be honest.
We did that on
It is a
top.
first response, is a first response building, so we do want to help as much as we can to get it up and running efficiently. But he's right about setting the precedent, because the next person's gonna come along and go, oh, we didn't realize. And now you've already set your precedent of a higher rate. So,
Kind of say one thing, we are still working on
okay,
a revised cost sharing too. And so, you know, this, I think, while yes, it is setting a precedent temporarily, I think you're gonna have a hard reset on how the policy becomes a policy. And we're gonna have discussions with townships before we actually are saying to them, okay, this is how much you're gonna get from us for road funding or assistance on projects. So, you know, potentially, you know, this could be addressed also in our new cost sharing policy as we go through. And we are gonna be, you know, finishing that up hopefully by, you know, early October, we would hope.
because the distinction to me is this is it's a first responder building. So there's a little bit of a higher precedent than a private business or something else. So we are,
But they complete the same thing,
they do have to complete the same thing, but
you know?
my goal is to get it. So
Well, they gotta do it. There's one way or another, they have to do it because they're not gonna get a drive-in so they don't.
and my attitude is we would operate on our present sharing model until a new one is available.
And we could make the deal if we amend this, then, you know, we could knock that down. We could do the cost, the payment plan, because we did that with Five Lake Township.
Good point. We're doing it on Stadium Drive, not to mention more than 2 or 3 others. We have been put in a position where through the actions or inactions of others, it was up to us if the project was going to continue or not. Something. And we have gone above and beyond a few times, but I guess we need to put something on the table here and then continue sometime to come here.
Well, I don't, I know you threw the 50% out there, but
That's my reaction.
I got you. I think Joe's point is well made. Carl's point is well made. Clearly, our responsibility is to make sure that we have a safe environment around that entry. But, how do we make it happen? And I think it would be fair to take a look at our normal share for right now. And I don't think the difference is that much if we were to extend a note over a couple of years. I don't think that it's outside of the.
We didn't charge interest on it.
That's right.
It was just,
So I think that's the way to approach this. I think that's an appropriate way, at least now with us, we're still working on the cost share. But I think we go by what we've been doing. And what's fair is fair. And we've got other issues to deal with potentially too, which might have similar.
and if we're gonna change the cost share, let's say we're gonna bump it up, I wouldn't hesitate on going back in and giving them that difference. I would not hesitate on that. Because we're just a little ahead of the cart here on that cost share thing getting changed. So, and that would just decrease the amount that would be outstanding.
So is there a motion being formulated here that's going to be brought forward?
Should we ask the township if they have any input? Just sitting over
He's
there.
right there.
Well,
He's gonna be like, hey, look, I like an 80% share by the road commission.
at the pleasure of the board, I guess we will, and since this is very much, it's not, step up if you wish to.
We're good with anything. I mean, we're just looking for help in covering those costs out there. I mean, it was something that's not what we expected. I know we didn't get all the approvals. And so we understand that. That's a learning lesson to us and our engineering firm to make sure that we take care of those in future projects. But, anything you do, and then if it ends up being a note over time, and then if your cost share changes, we're good with that. So, but we just appreciate anything you're helping out with.
Based on those positive comments, do we hear a motion?
All right,
Coming forward.
I'll try and word this. I'll try and word this best I can here. We would enter into agreement with Long Lake Township on a cost share basis. And this, I'm assuming that this has not been let out there for anybody to really price, or are these hard prices from Elmer's?
Only some of those items are hard prices from Elmer's,
Okay.
and so we have not asked for a.
So it's gonna vary, and we're not really approving a dollar amount right now. We're gonna approve, that's gonna be a close dollar amount here.
It's an estimated dollar amount
Okay.
that we would anticipate would be close for anyone in the industry
Okay.
taking on.
So, okay. Okay, so I would make a motion that we enter into an agreement with Long Lake Township to participate at the current cost share rate and finalize the amount when the bid comes in for that project, with the ability to cost adjust if our cost share amount goes up in the fall, when we redo that, to reflect more participation by the road commission. And if needed, we would let Long Lake Township pay for the balance over
I would say a couple of years.
2-year period.
What we do.
Second. Okay, that motion is second. I've been called watching Kylie. Working away here. She makes a sense of that. She's saying, gosh, I think we need to buy a tape recorder. Okay, I have a motion and second. Is there any other discussion I need to add to what we have already had? Okay, we call the roll, please.
Neiman,
Yes.
Underwood,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Gilman,
Yes.
Mauser.
Yes. Okay, that takes us through the regular ones. Now, I guess to sort of preface item E here, just to go on and a number of issues that came up. I'm not sure if everybody on the board was, but I was served summons a couple of weeks ago on a flat revision. And we did have a meeting with Gary Zeitz on it. It's more or less kind of a formality and not really an issue that had anything to do with us at all. It was a couple of walkways and a piece of dedicated parkland in a plat. The suit named not only us, but the Green Lake supervisor, the director of LARA, every utility company that has a right of way within that plat, so forth. So I mean, it was a procedural thing that really didn't have anything to do with us other than the legalities of it required that we be involved. I guess sort of 5 issues here that I've written down that I've gotten phone calls or we've got some emails here from that. Not all of them have been shared with us, but everybody and probably should be or could be here within the next little while. There's an issue in Whitewater Township on Lautner Road. We have an email here about the continuing discussion on East Sparling Road. Commissioner Gilman has brought up an issue on the roundabout designs and engineering in general on like 3 Mile Road. And then what's that? 4 Mile. And then I guess also Lakeshore Drive, Fife Lake has brought some additional commentary. And then I guess phone call and some pictures that were sent to me day before yesterday on a small issue on Cedar Creek Road, which I guess I'm just looking for a little update on. So those are the 5 items, I guess, or 5 specific things that seem to have created a flurry of emails and discussion on, I guess. So has anybody got anything else they'd like to add to it that they've been a hot button topic? How about we take them first? Let's let Commissioner Gilman, the top of the thing on the roundabout that he raised in his email.
My main concern of the roundabout is this design. I know it's a slowing feature. But basically it says, you know, we're gonna have the 20-mile-an-hour sign or whatever that, you know, the speed limit around it is. And then the road juts out like this, and then it comes back in like this, and then it goes around. Now, to me, that's absurd. It from a driver's standpoint, just from a driver's standpoint to start with, I guess, it's annoying. I mean, it's not just annoying, it's actually almost infuriating. If you got to slow down 20 miles an hour to make that jot, why wouldn't you slow down to make the turn? I mean, it's just one of these things. It adds additional cost. It causes additional signage, and it just doesn't flow as things should flow. I don't think it gives you any advantage in seeing the traffic. It's like speed bumps. We might as well put speed bumps everywhere. You know, I mean, sure, why not? It'll slow everybody down, but it'll piss everybody off too. The one that really sparked my interest in the new designs of the roundabouts. Okay, I mean, I like the design out in Acme, by the way. I like that. Those roundabouts at Myers are great as far as I'm concerned. But the one that really irritated me to begin with was the one in Parsons. Now, I've lived there for 30 years, and I happen to know what the environment is at that corner. And no matter what they do, there's going to be ice there. And that extra jut out is just one more spot for a fishtail to happen. The other thing is, people, when the snow's flying and people like to go straight, they know there's a roundabout there. They know they're going to come and they're going to have to make that turn. But that extra concrete sticking out into the drive lane, moving them over, might not be so noticed at snowy times. It's kind of a personal pet peeve of mine. I just don't care for it, and I know that I reflect some drivers.
Let's ask the engineer what the reasoning, because they didn't just arbitrarily stick it in there, and they did it over here too. So what's the engineering reasoning on that?
And are we going to agree with it?
Well, may or may not, but.
And I respect Commissioner Spielman's, comments and perspectives on this. Yeah, roundabouts, not for everyone. Not everyone agrees with them. The designs incorporate, and they've done a lot of work over this. This is not a brand new idea. This is not groundbreaking. There's years of history and design, and designs are based on human perceptions, human interactions. That is what road design is all about. That's why we have different designs for areas in snow country, areas in mountainous areas, designs in arid flatland areas. These designs are worked, and the approaches are very important in which to slow down traffic and to set them up into a queuing pattern. And as they're approaching, you want them to be down at that lower speed, coming in, being able to still see clearly any other vehicles that are currently in the roundabout, that then they would have the appropriate time and length in which to stop and yield to that traffic currently in the roundabout. If not, they then proceed through. And this is a design for not only an automobile, but a vehicle, or a truck and tractor, or vehicles with trailers. I can tell you just last week, on my way north, taking our daughter up for a little campus tour, I went through 6 roundabouts going through the UP. One in Munising, 5 in Marquette. On the way back, I did 8. Okay, I doubled up a couple in Marquette. But these are set up to accommodate that. I can't speak for Parsons. It's a city project. I'm not sure who their designers were onto that. Actually, I've been meaning to get over there and take a look at it on there, since they kind of beat us in the completion of it. So I can tell you though, for our design out on 4 Mile, what we also have to keep in mind there is we have approaches being built in for at the site condos. And so with the approaches coming into there as well, we do have some tapers. And so some things are getting a little bit wider, what is there. But we still have the pavement markings up to a point till we start to get into the curb and gutter. So these are built and done specifically to try to cue the traffic up, to get them into line onto there, to come into that roundabout, to stop if necessary, or to proceed on as necessary. Now, the nice thing is with roundabouts is now you're going to be at a consistent speed. I can tell you, if I'm pulling my 28-foot travel trailer and I'm doing a 90-degree turn, I'm a hell of a lot slower than 25 miles an hour. And I will create quite a backup. That's why these are designed in such a sweeping fashion in order to bring you in and you're able to kind of go into there. Also, the nice thing about this is when you do get them down to those speeds, it creates gaps. And so even when you have a long line queued up coming in on your major leg, there's going to be gaps generated into there so that on the other legs, when traffic is coming in, they're not going to have to be waiting until the entire slug of queued up traffic coming from one leg is done. So there's going to be created gaps into there. And sometimes that's from just, larger spacings. It's maybe from different size vehicles coming into there, different driver preferences on how close they like to follow other vehicles.
I get the safety aspect of it. I get the slow down here. It's a lot easier than slowing down here when there's a car going by. You can't slow down. I mean, I get that. Again, however, it's bad enough some people are impatient on the road, and I'm not an impatient driver at all, by the way. I really am not. There are things that just when you're doing too much mental engineering, because I mean, really, there are a couple of things that it's trying to do. It's trying to get you to slow down, to look, to do certain things. It's kind of like the planning that we had a crazy planner, one of these a few years ago at a traffic thing, where he wanted to close in the Miracle Mile, for example, and bring it in tight, so drivers slow down.
Oh, yeah.
And I asked him, I said, so you want to intimidate the drivers? Well, no, that's not what it is. Well, what is it? I mean, you want to basically create a tunnel effect. You know, the whole psyche programming kind of drives me at the wall, but the bottom line is we are going to create some pissed off drivers. I mean, it's just, there are gonna be people who you know, I look at it and I go, this is, for me, it's unnecessary. I know to slow down enough. I know to look to see who's coming around. I know to pause to make sure that they're going to either, you know, go this way or they're going to come around the rest of the way. And I think that most good drivers can, but I think a lot of us would personally prefer to accept the responsibility of a screw up if we make a screw up versus, and at those speeds, it's going to be slow anyway. That extra jog, it's, to me, from a cost, that costs money. I don't know how much it costs. It might be 20,000, might be 10,000, might be a couple $100, but that costs money. And it just pisses off drivers permanently who use it. And you know, I just wanted to say, I don't care for it. I don't like the design, and I'm probably not going to support any roundabouts that have that design any longer. I'm just not going to. You know, I mean,
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I'm only one person on the board, but you know.
I think when this roundabout's completed, before we
Do any more?
do any more, we need to see what the public says about it. See how, before we, I know there's a couple others in the works here, but maybe we need to at least.
No, exactly.
For the most part, it's a big nothing. I mean, honestly, I'm only 20%, you know, and I guess if you were to poll the board, I'm 20% of the motoring public.
He's already up to 20. So assuming that.
I don't know, Carl, you got any?
No,
feelings on it?
I think too, once, you know, we get them in there and just see how they function and that, because it's always a learning curve and it's always a work in progress, you know, to make things better. So I agree with, you know, I understand what you're saying. I understand you know, that too, and the one on 37 is definitely a different design than we're used to. It's, you know, I mean, because the other ones, like Jason said, are the pretty much straightforward, you know, like over at 186. You don't have that extra little.
You do to a degree.
To a degree.
Whether you're noticing it or not is a whole.
This one over here is much more to that degree, and I haven't seen the Parsons one yet, so I can't comment on that. I can't comment on that one, so I don't know.
From a percentage wise, how far you come out is almost an entire lane. I mean, it's
You know, so it certainly could be a whole different design than what I've seen, so I can't comment on that.
Joe?
I haven't seen it, so I don't know yet, but my philosophy on roundabouts is if you live long enough, you'll see them take all out, so.
Okay, no bias there.
So, that's what they did on the East Coast, so. No, it's a matter of 30 or 40 years from now, when somebody's sitting here, saying, well, we didn't take that out.
Yeah.
I would just interject there slightly, Commissioner, that a lot of what you find out to the east are traffic circles. They are not through roundabouts.
Oh.
They do function differently. Their geometrics are significantly different.
Okay.
So these are modern roundabouts.
Yeah, the other thing that's maddening, and I'm gonna throw this in there for a bit, is I've seen some of the plans they have for bike boxes. Have you seen bike boxes? Bike boxes is where at every intersection, they put this section where the bicycle is on a bike path that rides next to the cars, then all of a sudden takes over the entire lane in front of the cars. And that's just so you don't run over the bikes. But they have to get out of the way before the cars can get. This is planning. I mean, these are people engineering wonderful solutions for traffic control. So
Different priorities and different.
We haven't any bike boxes, have we?
no, we won't be there.
Mr. 20% there. I haven't been through the Parsons Road one at all. And I've heard some commentary on what MDOT is done on 37. None of it highly complimentary. I went through, I've been through the ones at 72 a lot, and my skepticism has been tempered. It's But so I think a lot of the devil's in the details with a lot of things, and I guess we need to start looking at the details a little bit harder. And I think we'll probably in future roundabout designs and look at them, I guess, want to actually physically see the actual details of it, not just kind of pass it off as let's do it. And I think there is a difference in I guess vision, you know, being a citizen just driving and being an engineer and being a traffic safety consultant. They all have their, I don't know, prejudices, I guess. And so I guess we need to kind of, I think, like Al said, we're going to build some more. Let's look at what we've done, get some input from the public, and then before we actually turn the next ones into hard surface. Okay, I think we've beat that one up pretty good.
I beat the rest up in 10 minutes.
I think so. Either that or we can, you know, specifically with, some of these are a little bigger and aren't going to be resolved in 30 seconds, so we should be made aware of them. A real quick one here. I did get a call on Cedar Creek Road. There was a crease across the road. Did they ever get out there and take a look at that?
And so we did play a crew out. They set a probe down. We didn't find anything remarkable when they put the probe down. So we're going to end up adding some material to cover it and just kind of monitor it.
I got a call that says cars are going to hit, they're going to destroy their front ends, and I was visualizing pothole. Then they sent me a picture, and it was literally a crease across the road that appeared to be getting deeper all the time, where people were having to go through this lady's driveway to get around it. So anyway, it looked like it might be even a culvert or something under there collapsing.
Yeah.
Easy enough to there. Probably the bigger ones here are probably the Lochner, East Sparling, and Lake Shore Drive and Fife Lake. Do we need to maybe, well, Brad, jump in here.
Lochner Road, we're ready. We got, can you put that up real quick?
Okay, so we've got a PowerPoint or discussion here, something.
Yeah.
Apparently there's a culvert of, depending on who you talk to, what size it is and what function of it is.
Okay, so
Second one.
that's fine right here. So this, obviously, as you're all probably aware, we had a lot of rain
Yeah,
over the weekend.
first time I've ran the basement in 30 years.
Over 3 inches for the most part around Traverse City, some places as much as 5 inches. So this is an exceptional rain event. And in a lot of places, we had a issue with water not being able to stay within the banks of creeks. It flooded. Or culverts that just could not handle the amount of rainfall we're talking about. So when you look at this specific culvert here, this is where we're talking about. The north side there is the railroad. The house on the southwest of the railroad is with the curved driveway that comes up is the individual that had an issue. Now, if you look here, as this comes through, we have a culvert right here that goes through, then the creek comes up and comes back down through here. So as we went out there, we had a complaint as the rain was falling that it was significantly overflowing the road. This is the gentleman's driveway here before the incident. And this is the water flowing. This should be a video if you click on it. Through that area as the rain had started to slow down. So the entire road went over the top with the water. The culvert was not big enough to handle it. So it was a very wide sheet. That driveway happens to be at the low point of the road. He and his neighbor share the lowest portion. So as that creek goes through there and it attempts to make it through the culvert definitely was flowing exactly as intended. So that's the culvert showing the water coming out. And then the next. And that's what happened to his driveway because of all this water coming over it. Now, the issue we have is this is not anything that we can potentially design for. The type of rain you have at that rate is not something that we can accommodate. It's not technically our responsibility to deal with water. We make it get across the road one way or the other, but the fact that it is an active creek means we are not responsible for the water flowing through there, nor do we have any authority to do anything about it. Now, at one point, was that 1990? In 1990, they looked at potentially fixing some stuff out here. And they wanted to increase the size of that culvert substantially.
They being
Eagle, when they came back, or DEQ at the time.
whoever it was.
Yeah,
State
so
agency at the time.
what was the size they wanted to go to, remember?
The road commission had submitted for an upsize from the 18-inch concrete on the east side to a 48-inch.
Which is,
But that was rejected by the DNR, who had the authority at that point in time. And they were requesting, what was that size?
7 foot by 5 foot.
Yeah.
Squash pipe.
So
Yes.
they wanted, so they wanted a 7 foot wide by 5 foot high oval pipe through there. So the problem with that is if you're putting that pipe there, number one, it's gonna flow more through the creek, but it's gonna take his entire culvert out from under his driveway. And it's gonna keep going down the entire stretch of the creek. Every culvert that exists is gonna end up having far, far more water on a normal basis than it does now. So the gentleman here complained to us and he said, this is our fault. Okay, he said, we fixed his driveway before, we should fix it again. Now, we did in fact fix his driveway one time, but that was because it was our fault. We had a significant buildup of high ridge, which directed all of the water directly down his driveway. This is not anything we could have prevented or changed in any way simply because of that volume of water. It went through his grass. All of his grass was flattened out, flowing in the direction of the water and going up the driveway and going down beyond the driveway. The neighbor on the south of him has no real damage to his property. So while I understand and can feel for his problem here, it's really not something that we are responsible for, as the water is coming from upstream, flowing through, going through the culvert as it is, and then topping over the road and continuing on.
does he have insurance?
I don't know if that's covered or not.
I mean, I guess what I'm saying is that seems to me that would be the,
On the, this is the actual pipe here. On the inlet side, there is a concrete piece attached to an otherwise corrugated metal pipe. So,
Yeah, the assertion was that there's and we got into a little bit of semantics, 18-inch pipe, 20-inch pipe. I don't know what it is. There seems to be.
it's 18 on the inside almost of this concrete, and it's substantial. It's what, 22, 24 on the inside.
So anyway, but sometimes that muddies the water in discussions, but there was another assertion that at the end of it, there is a 14-inch pipe been stuck in the end and it's full of roots. I guess, is there any?
Gonna go to that last.
Go to the last page. Click on the video. So that's the one route that was there. But it is still flowing as intended, and that is the 17 to 18-inch inside diameter of that concrete portion, which then widens out immediately beyond that.
So it's not full of roots,
No,
and it's not 14 inches.
it's 17 and change.
which, yeah, the assertion was made that it was a different kind of pipe stuck in the end, and it was full of roots, and it was impacting, well, the water couldn't go through.
There was water all over the road everywhere the day after that.
Yes. So,
Okay, anybody else got any questions, comments? The other item, Sparling and Lakeshore Drive seem to, I mean, these have been ongoing things. Should we put those on our agenda for,
If you wanted to real quick address Sparling Road, I did go out and take a look. I kind of did some unofficial measurements. I rolled out some spots along the approach to the driveway. 17 feet at a couple of points, 18, 19 feet generally, and then at the beginning of the seasonal road there, it's 22 feet. The turnaround has a 50-foot diameter. I don't know if that's enough, but that's essentially what's there. And as far as the permit, if you go by the permit that was sent to us in the email, it also, it required some ditching and removal of berm. Well, there's been no berm removed in most of that. And as far as ditching goes, it's non-existent. I mean, if there's a water event, I mean, I'm surprised actually that with the recent water event that there wasn't more damage to that particular road. Not to our standards, decent surface, but not to our standards at this point. And I don't know how or why the road commission started working on that road in the first place. You know,
we didn't. They originally petitioned us to say, hey, we want to make this a full year-round road. They came in, they said they were done. There was no follow-up ever afterwards. It was never posted. It was never had any public hearings to change it from a seasonal to a full year road. And it still is not, as you said, it's still nowhere near wide enough for what needs to be there. Now, the seasonal portion of it basically is everything to the east. It's, what is it, about a mile?
Yeah, just shy of a mile, basically from the corner of M113.
Yeah.
Down over.
Alan was wondering,
what's the exact complaint? I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know.
They want us to keep plowing it, and we can't, we have a very difficult time getting in there. That and the fact that because it's a seasonal road, we're not allowed to plow.
okay, we'll put that on our agenda for the regular time.
Yeah,
That would be another issue. If you start plowing one seasonal, you're gonna
Yeah.
end up plowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now, and somebody, we don't know who, has moved that sign at least 3 times since it was originally set.
The not plowed from here.
Yes, yeah, the seasonal road begins sign has been moved at least 3 times that we're aware of. As different houses have been built, they've picked up the sign, they've moved it just past their driveway.
Why don't we can go ahead a little bit, go back, because not everybody's has been involved in this long history of this one. And if there's something further we can change or modify into it, and then Lakeshore Drive, I think it's been a continuous, continuing discussion for a period of time. And we'll maybe go into that a little depth, the history of it, and look at some of the information here in some of these emails as far as give clear, specific answers once and for all. Yeah. Add those to the agenda for as discussion items. I guess that'd bring us to our second public comment. Same rules.
Just one comment. White, Acton Township Supervisor, 7626 Sailor Road. On the 5323 Lautner Road, Richard Mallory, I'm sure I received as many phone calls from him as you have yourself. On that road, on that driveway, the culvert does run full on the west side. Or the east side, it's always a lot fuller, but it's up, the water lines up higher. And if you come back to that, the culvert there that you had of it on the, when you're on the west side of it, you'll see that it's down and during the rainy event, the other side's full. And in my opinion, I'm not an engineer, I'll be the first one to agree to that, is the fact that if it's full on one end, it should be coming out full at the other end of the pipe. That driveway of his has been fixed more recently than that by the county, and because it had washed out last year. Received numerous calls from him. I told him to talk to the road commission and called myself, and the road commission did come out and repaired his drive at that time. And that was, like I say, that was in 2020. I know I haven't been the supervisor out there very long, but it was during my time out there. So as far as the culvert and that, the history, I've heard numerous things. I know back when the Myers project was going in, the tribe was going to actually redo all of Lautner Road, but the funding ran out. And at that point in time, that's when they were going to change the size of the culvert that goes under the road. So for what it's worth, that's some of the back history that has happened there. What Downton County Road Commission wants to do, that's up to them. I just add a little more history to it, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, Dan Olson, 14795 Mallard Drive. Here on behalf of Mission Hills HOA. I think we were here at the last month's meeting, as you know, with our attorney to talk about some issues that we were hoping you would address. And I was under the impression that Bluff Road was going to be one of the topics of the special meeting, since that was brought up when we were asking for some more collaboration, or any collaboration really. We've identified some ditching work that we've tried to relate to the road commission, and so again, we're just kind of hoping to have some positive, practical discussions on what we can do to start relieving the water pressure on that hillside. And as we move forward with our shoreline work, we'd be happy to share what we're going to do with that and get any input that your engineers may have. But again, we kind of just waiting to hear that dialogue. So if you guys want to schedule a special meeting at some point to discuss the GEI report and some what appears to be some very low cost measures that could be done to relieve the water pressure. I know there was discussion about the 3.5 inches of rain that we got. Our water gauge showed about 3.5 inches of rain the other day when we had that rainstorm. I went down there on Bluff Road and looked at all the culverts or the ditches and what the water was doing. And there's a very limited space where the water's flowing out of that southern side, but the rest of the water north is just kind of sitting there. And there's culverts in all those properties that would allow that water to transmit through, but it's not able to because those ditches are either non-existent or they haven't been maintained. And part of that may be because of the recent work that was done by utilities. They were there digging up in the last couple of years, which probably had some other effects on that hillside, but they were ditching and then refilling, or they were putting in lines and then backfilling. So if there were ditches there prior to that, they're not really there. So I think there's some low cost solutions to relieving that water pressure, and we would look forward to the commissioners kind of devote some time to that.
Any other public comment? I guess I'd ask, that is a follow-up on, seems like every month we have that.
Yeah,
And then it's still.
Wayne was not here for the end of last week. He's now back and he has had a chance to speak with the lady from.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it will be on our
So,
agenda on our next.
It
meeting.
is, yes, and we are intending to set up something with them now that we've had a chance to talk to the GEI.
Discuss not only our engineer, but all the broad-based
Yes,
suggestions and questions that have come from all avenues.
yes.
Okay. No more public comment brings us to item 7.
Move to adjourn.
Support.